So in a recent interview with Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk talks about the question that he always asks Bernie supporters that they're never able to answer. So let's take a look at the question, and then we'll come back and we'll do our best to answer it.
So I always ask the question to Bernie Sanders supporters, do you trust the government? And almost always they say, no, the government's bought by lobbyists and corporations and by the war machine, all this stuff. I say, why on earth would you want to make that government bigger? And they have no response, of course. But that's the whole kind of summation of how I think you approach Senator Sanders, Marxists that support Senator Sanders, which is his whole position, his whole worldview is getting more people, more bureaucrats, and more power to the very government you say you distrust.
So the first thing that needs to be addressed about that video is just the smugness that Charlie Kirk goes about and explain in the way he explains that question. I would be very surprised if he actually asks that question to very many Bernie Sanders supporters. I feel like it's more of just a conversation piece for him and his conservative buddies. They can talk about, I got these silly Bernie supporters. They don't know how to answer just the government being bigger. They don't understand the flaws in their logic. So let's break down Charlie Kirk's question there. So he asks, do you trust the government? And I feel like that in and of itself isn't the best question, because what are you talking about? Are you talking about specific politicians? There are definitely politicians that I don't support. I think that certain politicians are definitely corrupt because we have a system of legalized bribery in this country through campaign contributions. I do think that is an element of government that I don't trust. I do trust the government, though, to say deliver people their Social Security checks. I think that is something that you can trust the government for. So I disagree fundamentally just with that very first question. And then the next question that, so why do you, but let's just assume that I say no. And so then he says, well, then why do you want to make that government bigger? But it still just goes along. I want to make the good aspects of government bigger. I do want to make, I don't literally just want to make, I think, there's corrupt politicians. I don't want to literally make more corrupt politicians. I don't want to add to the number of senators or add to just the size of Congress. That's not what I'm talking about when you talk about bigger government. I want to see more government regulation on, say, Wall Street, for example, or I would like to see an expansion of Medicare to a Medicare for all system. But I don't literally just want to just grow the size of government without any rhyme or reason behind it. It's just such a silly thing. And then there are also elements of government that I want to shrink. I would like to shrink the size of the military. I would like to get rid of things like the Patriot Act, which basically allows legalized spying on the American people. So it's not just do you think government is corrupt? But it's not all elements of government are corrupt. And I do think that we should eliminate the biggest thing that allows for corruption in our government. And that is campaign contributions from corporations and special interests and lobbyists. That causes so much of the corruption. So I definitely support getting money out of politics. And I do support growing government in areas that are good, that would benefit the people. I support expanding the United States welfare program. I support adding more, funding schools more. Like Charlie Kirk would refer to giving more money to schools as growing government. That is what he would classify as making government bigger, expanding the budget for public education. So it's really important to actually just understand, because we have kind of this thing in this country where we just the government is, we just talk about the government, where it's just this just it's more of a metaphorical just thing that we all talk about. We don't like it, the government's bad at this, so we don't trust the government. But we have to remember that the government is just a conglomeration of people, and there is nuance to it. There are aspects of the government that are good, and there are aspects of the government that are bad. And so I think that we should grow the parts of government that are good and shrink the parts of government that are bad. It's not a difficult concept. But I hope that Charlie Kirk has fun asking that question to people, and I would love to be in the situation where he would ask it to me someday, because I would love to give him my answer to it. But anyway, if you disagreed with anything I said in this video, make sure to leave a comment below. But if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.